Imagine trying to build something really intricate, maybe a custom part for, I don't know, your bike. But the robot doing the building is basically blindfolded. It just follows the plan, right? Even if the material shifts or maybe the base isn't quite right. That's kind of been the story with 3D printing for, well, decades now. Super fast sometimes, but totally passive. It doesn't react. Well, today, we're diving into something really different. A technology leap that's taking 3D printing from just doing what it's told to, well, to being truly intelligent. We're talking about a system with eyes, a brain, and the ability to adapt as it goes.
Yeah, it's a huge shift. I mean, the standard way additive manufacturing is basically a 40-year-old process. You have a fixed design, and the machine just executes blindly. So our deep dive today is based on this really impressive paper. It's published in Nature, and it's called Adaptive and Context-Aware Volumetric Printing. The work comes from Sammy Florczak, Ricardo Lovato, and their colleagues. They're the Department of Orthopedics, University Medical Center, Utrecht, and Utrecht University over in the Netherlands. And our mission, really, is to unpack how their new system, they call it GRACE, gets around those old limits, how it gives the printer the power to, sense what's happening and actually respond, especially in bioprinting, which is incredibly delicate stuff.
Grace, okay, generative, adaptive, context-aware 3D printing. Sounds pretty advanced, almost sci-fi. So what's actually going on under the hood? What makes it so smart?
Well, it really boils down to three key pieces working together. First, there's the how, that's volumetric printing. This is what makes it super fast. It's layerless printing. Think of using shaped light fields to harden a special light-sensitive resin, like setting Jell-O instantly in a specific 3D shape, all at once, instead of building it layer by tiny layer.
Okay, so much faster than traditional printing then.
Oh, massively faster. Then second, you need the sensing part, the eyes, if you will. That's lay sheet imaging. This thing rapidly scans the entire printing area in 3D. And it doesn't just see shapes. It gets positional info, morphometric like size and form, and even spectral information.
Spectral information. Okay, break that down a bit. What does that mean for, the average listener?
Right, good question. It means the system can actually identify specific things inside the resin based on how they react to light, like fluorescent dyes. So it's not just seeing a blob. It could see, say, a living cell that's been tagged with a green fluorescent marker or a specific protein tagged in red and know exactly where it is in 3D space.
Wow. Okay, so it sees what is there, not just that something is there.
Exactly. And that leads to the third piece, the brain. Computer vision and parametric modeling. You have algorithms that take all that real-time 3D map data, the shapes, the locations, the spectral tags, process it in literally seconds, and then automatically generate the printing instructions, the geometry, to perfectly fit around or connect to whatever's already in the vat.
So let me see if I've got this right. Old school 3D printing is like, I don't know, putting a DVD in and hitting play. It just runs the pre-recorded file no matter what. But Grace is more like a self-driving car, right? It's constantly scanning the road, seeing potholes, other cars, debris, whatever. And it adjusts its path instantly to keep the ride smooth and perfect. It's reacting.
That's a really good analogy.
Yeah.
And you can see why this is such a breakthrough for biofabrication. That's probably the toughest application.
Yeah.
Because you're working with living cells, living tissues that need incredibly precise conditions to, live.
Right. Tissues need nutrients. Like in our bodies, blood vessels grow to reach every single cell. You can't just print a block of cells and hope for the best. The ones in the middle will just die off, won't they?
That's precisely the challenge. Nutrient delivery, getting oxygen and food deep into a structure. Traditional methods struggle with that. So the Utrecht team used GRACE specifically to build these adaptive vessel-like networks. Smart plumbing, basically.
And how did they test that?
They did this really cool experiment. They used these little donut-shaped structures, toruses, made of extruded material containing pancreatic cells, the kind that secrete insulin, eye cells. Now, instead of just printing some random channels nearby, GRACE first scanned the setup, located these cell-laden toruses, and then automatically designed the vessel network to wrap around them perfectly, keeping this optimal distance about 300 micrometers away for the nutrients to diffuse effectively.
Wait, so the printer designed the blood vessels based on where the cells actually were, not from a preloaded file.
Exactly. The biology dictated the geometry. It wasn't a fixed blueprint. It was a dynamic response.
Okay, that's a huge deal. And did it work? Did the cells do better?
They did. The results were pretty striking, actually. After just 24 hours, the structures printed with these GRACE-designed adaptive channels showed a substantial increase in proinsulin secretion. That's the precursor to insulin. We're talking something like 3.2 relative light units of secretion compared to maybe 2.0 for structures with randomly placed channels, or just 1.4 for structures with no channels at all.
Wow, so a big functional improvement, almost double in some cases just from smarter plumbing.
Right. It shows that getting those nutrient highways right up close to the cells, but not too close, makes them happier and more functional almost immediately. That shorter diffusion distance is absolutely key if we ever want to build complex working tissues in the lab.
Okay, so it can adapt based on location, but you mentioned intelligence. Can it make, like, actual decisions based on what it sees, not just proximity?
Yes, absolutely. They demonstrated that too, what they call conditional printing. It can make different choices based on the features it detected. They tested this using two criteria. First, size discrimination. They put tiny microspheres of different sizes into the resin. If Gracie detected a sphere smaller than 0.5 millimeter, it just printed a simple channel passing nearby, sort of grazing it. But if the sphere was larger than 0.5 millimeter, the system automatically generated a much more complex network of channels wrapping around the sphere. It tailored the support structure based on the size of the object.
Okay, that's pretty sophisticated. Analyzing size and then choosing a different print strategy automatically.
Exactly. And it wasn't just size. They also showed spectral discrimination. They used two different fluorescent dyes, C3.5 and CSI5, to stain different groups of particles. Grace could tell the difference based on the color signal. Like if this had printed one type of geometry, like those simple grazing channels for the C3.5 particles, and the completely different complex wraps network for the CSI5 particles, all based on the fluorescent color it detected.
And how fast was this decision-making process?
The whole cycle scan, analyze, generate the design, and print took about 4 minutes per spectral channel, so really quite fast.
4 minutes, okay. This ability to see, analyze, and then act. It must solve another huge problem in making complex things, lining up different parts or materials. Automated alignment, right? Anyone who's tried to, say, print one material on top of another knows how tricky that alignment can be manually.
Oh, it's a nightmare. Sequential fabrication, multi-material printing. It's usually super slow and prone to errors precisely because of the alignment step. It often needs manual intervention. Grace tackles this directly. They showed it could automatically detect a structure that was already in the printing vat placed at some random angle. They used a model of a human femur, like the top of your thigh bone.
So it finds the bone first.
Finds the bone, scans it, and then uses this algorithm. It's called the iterative closest point, or ICP algorithm, to figure out the exact 3D orientation and position of that femur. And it does this calculation in less than 5 seconds.
Wow, 5 seconds.
Yeah. And based on that calculation, it could then perfectly print a layer of cartilage directly onto the head of the femur model, matching the contours exactly. They created this multi-component bone cartilage structure, an osteochondral architecture, and the cells in both parts stayed alive and functional for over 4 weeks, making their respective matrix materials. That 5-second auto-alignment. That replaces potentially hours of painstaking manual work.
That is genuinely game-changing for making complex, multi-part objects, especially in things like personalized medicine or maybe even soft robotics. But there's always a but, right?
What about the limits of using light? Doesn't stuff get in the way? Shadows.
Yes. Shadowing artifacts. That's a major headache for any light-based printing, especially volumetric printing where light comes from multiple directions. If you have something opaque or even just dense inside the resin vat, it blocks the light. Just like you said, it casts shadows, and the resin in those shadowed areas doesn't get cured properly or it cures unevenly. You get weak spots, bad print quality.
Like trying to paint in a room full of furniture, you miss spots behind the couch. Exactly. So Grace has a clever way to handle this too. It uses that same light sheet, but this time it acts like a profilometer, basically, a super precise measuring tool. It maps the exact surface contours of the object that's casting the shadow. Then it uses another smart bit of software called Object Space Model Optimization, or OSMO. This iteratively calculates and adjusts the light dose needed to correctly cure the resin in those shadowed regions. It figures out how much extra light energy is needed and from what direction to compensate for the blockage.
Okay, hold on. It calculates how much light is needed to cure resin behind an obstacle. That sounds almost impossible, like calculating how sunlight bends around a corner. Did they prove this works?
They did, and with numbers to back it up. They used a really tough test case, an opaque balling cage model. Imagine a little ball trapped inside a lattice cage. The cage bars cast shadows from multiple angles. Without the OSMO correction, the prints were, frankly, pretty bad. Uneven surfaces, poor curing. But with the correction enabled, the quality improvement was dramatic. They measured the surface error, how much it deviated from a perfect shape using root mean square or RMS error. It dropped from 0.50 micrometers down to just 0.18
Oh, much
micrometers.
smoother, much more accurate.
Precisely. And they also measured sphericity, how close the printed ball was to a perfect sphere. That jumped from 0.830 up to 0.965. Remember, 1.0 would be a perfect sphere. So yeah, it quantifiably proves that Grace can maintain dimensional accuracy and ensure even curing, even when it has to print around or inside things that block the light.
Okay, let's pull this all together. What's the big picture here? We've seen Flortsack, Lovato, and their team demonstrate some incredible capabilities with Grace.
I think there are three core takeaways. First, functional adaptability. It's not just printing shapes, it's printing structures like those vessel networks that are designed on the fly to improve biological function, like keeping cells alive and working better. Second, automated complexity. That super fast automatic alignment gets rid of a major bottleneck in making complex, multi-step, multi-material objects. That's huge for manufacturing. And third, error correction. It actively overcomes physical problems, like shadowing from opaque objects, using smart optimization to make sure the final print is accurate and high quality.
So it sees, thinks, adapts, and corrects.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And that, I think, represents a really fundamental change for additive manufacturing. We're moving away from 3D printing as just a passive tool that follows orders and moving towards an autonomous system that can map its environment, analyze what it finds, and make intelligent decisions about what it builds and how it builds it. That kind of smarts is crucial for the next generation of tissue engineering, definitely, but also things like soft robotics, advanced composites. Anywhere, complexity and precision are key.
And the speed you mentioned earlier. Scanning, analyzing, generating the design in about 4 minutes. That's incredibly fast for this level of adaptation. So if we can already print functional cartilage onto a bone model with perfect alignment or create vascular networks that demonstrably improve cell function, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How far are we really from using this kind of adaptive intelligent printing to manufacture not just small tissue scaffolds, but maybe full-scale functioning human organs, built piece by piece, perfectly adapted as they grow? It's a mind-bending possibility.